Hello, 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 my loves. What's going on? All right. So, happy Tuesday, and welcome to another edition of the Weekly Astro Forecast live here in the Astro Room on YouTube. So, I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So, if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So, this channel is everything astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So, if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my love. So this is the weekly astro forecast for the week of February 12th through 18th, 2024. So as you notice, this is definitely outside of our normally scheduled program. I don't know about you, but the energies of the last couple of days have been intense. And in a weird way, it kind of threw me by surprise, or it caught me off guard. I mean, I do these weekly astro forecasts regularly every week. And so I'm very much aware of the astrology, but sometimes I'm not always aware of how the astrology will affect me directly. And this new moon in Aquarius that we're coming off the energy of this week, it definitely had me take several seats and examine some things and do some inner work. And last night, not even gonna lie to you, I was really going through it. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to postpone this live until I'm feeling more like myself. And today is the first day in the last 4 days where I actually feel more like myself. I feel like over the last couple of days, I had to really go deep under the surface and work some things out and handle some things. So hence why we are doing this live today on Tuesday. But regardless, different day, same information. All right. So again, this is going to be the weekly astro forecast for the week of February 12th through February 18th. So I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that this week has started off well for you guys. I don't know how the new moon has affected you, but if you care to share, definitely hit up the chat. If you are here live, let me know how that new moon energy has made you feel. Or if you're watching this on the replay, hit the comment section and let me know what you've learned at this new moon, if anything, and how this new moon in Aquarius has made you feel. All right. So, of course, before we get into any of the details, housekeeping and announcements, if you're joining me here on the live, thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate you. Don't forget to say hi and hit that like button on your way in, please, and thank you. And if you're watching this on the replay, I appreciate you just as much. Hopefully you get what you're looking for with this broadcast. And if you would be so kind as to hit that like button, the subscribe button, and that notification bell if you haven't already, I would greatly appreciate that as well. All right, so in terms of announcements, in case you didn't know, not only do I offer astrology and all things astrology, I also have a product-based service called Heaven Sense Luxury, where I make luxury handmade candles. And this week, well, actually the next 2 weeks, we are doing a giveaway, right? So enter our giveaway in order to win 3 of my luxurious luxe vanilla scented candles, all right? And all you have to do is provide your email address and you will be automatically entered, all right? So the link will be in the description box below. The giveaway is running from February 12th through February 28th. Winner will be announced on February 29th. And in order to qualify to win, you need to be a U.S. resident or provide a U.S. mailing address, all right? It's only for domestic participants at the moment, all right? But definitely hit that link, enter the giveaway. These candles are to die for, all right? So hopefully you guys enjoy that. And as always, if you are someone who is interested in astrology, you want to know your horoscope, but you don't really have anywhere to look to find it, or whatever you're seeing online isn't necessarily resonating with you, then you will definitely want to consider signing up for my text service, where you will get your weekly horoscope texted to you every Monday. All right. People seem to really like it. It's short, sweet, and to the point. So if you're interested, you will want to text the word ZODIAC to the number 855-826-5544. That information will be in the description box below. All right. And as always, if you are someone who is new to astrology and you have no idea what's going on, or you're someone who started studying astrology but you're overwhelmed because you realize it's a lot, don't worry, I got you covered. I created this thing called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet, which basically gives you the quick and dirty on everything you need to know to start studying and understanding astrology, but mainly the 4 pillars of astrology, which are the planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects. So it's an 11-page PDF document that gives you a short and sweet summary on what all of this stuff is, so that you can start studying and committing these to memory. Because regardless of what anyone says or doesn't say, Astrology is indeed a science, and like any science, it requires a good deal of study. So to help you start studying, I created this cheat sheet. If you would like to get it, the link will be in the description box below. All you need to do is drop your email and you are good to go. All right. So. Hello to Ramel and Linda who are here in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I truly appreciate you. So let's talk the astrology for this week. So this week is going to be kind of shifty because we have 3 planets changing signs, and 2 of the planets that are changing signs are going to be amplified and magnified this week in a very profound sort of way. We're also winding down on some Aquarius energy because come Sunday, the sun will move into Pisces and we will officially be in Pisces season. So in terms of our focus, in terms of our consciousness, this is sort of the last week where we're sort of going to be really focused on Aquarian-like things, where our attention will be. Now, even though the sun will be moving into Pisces later on in the week, we're still going to have some major energy in Aquarius. So we're not quite done with Aquarius energy yet. However, things are going to be shifting a little bit as the sun moves into Pisces and we start focusing more on Piscean things. All right. However, we've got Mars and Venus who will be moving into Aquarius this week. And it's going to make for a little bit of a clusterfuck in Aquarius because we still have the sun, at least until Sunday. We've got Mercury, we've got Mars, we've got Venus, and we've got Pluto, right? And then last week we had the moon. So Aquarius, like I said, that's been the hot button sign for the last couple of weeks. And this week is no exception because with Mars and Venus moving into Aquarius, not only are they going to add some emphasis to wherever Aquarius is in your chart, but they're going to be linking up with Pluto, which is going to magnify and intensify a lot this week. All right. So plenty going on, which means plenty to discuss. All right. So without further ado, let's get into it and see exactly what we've got going on for the week. Of course, we start with the highlights. So first, we have what I like to call hit or miss, and this is Mars in Aquarius. So Mars in Aquarius is very direct energy. It's very much goal-oriented, future-focused, and it's very much a detached sort of energy when it comes to our goals. So when it comes to our goals, we're very direct, and we're not necessarily emotional about it. We're like, okay, we have this goal. Let's reach it. Let's do what we need to do. All right. It also fosters teamwork. So I've mentioned this in my other lives and, my other videos, but Aquarian energy has a lot to do with the collective. And with Mars in Aquarius, Mars tends to be a little solitary. Mars likes to do things on its own. Mars can be a little self-centered, but Mars in Aquarius fosters teamwork, especially when there is a shared goal involved. And finally, Mars in Aquarius has a lot of dynamic and erratic energy, especially when it comes to our communication and our ideas, right? How we communicate with people, how we think about things. It's going to be very direct, dynamic, and a little bit erratic, all right? So that's the first thing that we have to look forward to this week. Next, we have what I like to call lovers and friends, and this is Venus moving into Aquarius, okay? So Venus has a lot to do with love. It has a lot to do with relationships and money, right? And Aquarius has a lot to do with the collective. So ergo, it's love on a sort of collective scale, right? However, Aquarius energy is unique in the fact that it fosters friendship. And so Venus in Aquarius really has us focusing on our friendships. And even if we're talking about romantic relationships, which we are since this is the week of Valentine's Day, right? It's more so about having friendship first, establishing a friendship foundation in any sort of relationship. It's also about unconventionality and independence in relationships. And excuse me, being friends as well as lovers, and intellectual stimulation. And I'll get more into that later. And then finally, we have what I like to call last call, and this is the sun moving into Pisces. So if you're not new to my channel, you'll know that I always remind you that January 1st is not the real new year. It's not the natural new year. The beginning of Aries season in March is. And so when we have the sun in Pisces, we're sort of at the end. It's like the December of the natural year. And so it's the last call. It's when we wrap up things. It's when we focus on our inner world. It's when karma becomes very apparent to us and where we are forced to sort of surrender, right? And get ready for that rebirth that's going to take place come Aries season. All right. So this is what we've got going on this week. So now let's get a little more detailed and see what each day has in store for us. So yesterday we had the moon moving into Aries. Then today we've got Mars moving into Aquarius and Venus sextile Neptune, which is a very beautiful transit. Tomorrow on Wednesday, we've got Mars conjunct Pluto and the moon moving into its sign of exaltation, which is Taurus. Thereafter on Thursday, we've got Mercury sextile Chiron. Friday seems to be a heavy hitter kind of day because we've got a lot going on. We've got Venus moving into Aquarius, Mercury sextile the North Node. Mercury will also square Uranus and the moon will be moving into Gemini. On Saturday, we've got Venus conjunct Pluto. Then we close out the week on Sunday with the sun moving into Pisces and the moon moving into Cancer. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. All right, my love. So let's talk about what transpired yesterday, which was the moon moving into Aries. All right. And you will see that at the left-hand portion of the chart in that red circle, you will see the moon in brown at 0 degrees of Aries. All right. So we had that new moon in Aquarius going down last Friday. All right. And that was sort of, I want to say it was a major astrological event because that shit hit me like a ton of bricks. I don't know about you, but it was intense, right? And so now we are in between the new moon in Aries. The new moon in Aquarius, and we will have a full moon in Virgo in about a week and a half, close to 2 weeks, right? And so we are in the waxing phase. This is when we take action steps toward the completion of our goals, right? And when the moon is in Aries, that's exactly what we feel like doing. Aries is all about what it wants. Aries is very direct in what it wants, and Aries is willing to take the action steps, no matter how bold or no matter how risky, in order to achieve that goal, achieve that desire. So when the moon is waxing in Aries, this is when we feel motivated and driven to do the things that we want to have, to achieve, and stuff like that, right? So it can have us feeling very impulsive. It could have us feeling very motivated and driven, perhaps even a little selfish, like we're really thinking about what we want. We're not necessarily thinking about others. It's very focused energy. And because we're talking about the moon, we're talking about our emotions. So our emotions may be focused on one thing that we particularly want, and we're willing to take action steps to do that. So whenever the moon is in Aries, it's really your time to take action. It's your time to be bold, dynamic, and a little risky when it comes to the achievement of your goals. Aries being the first sign of the zodiac, think about how much energy and effort it requires to start something, right? It's like the Big Bang Theory, right? It could be like an explosion. It could be fireworks. It could be whatever, right? Something that's sort of quick and very dynamic, right? That's how we feel when the moon is waxing in Aries. We just want to do something, and we're kind of willing to do anything to get it or to start it at least. So whenever the moon is in Aries, we like to start some shit, especially shit that we really want. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, so now we get to today. And today we've got Mars moving into Aquarius. And you'll see that at the upper left-hand portion of the chart, Mars is in red, and you'll see it at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And then we also have Venus sextile Neptune. So at the top left-hand portion, you will see Venus is at 26 degrees of Capricorn. And you will see Neptune at the mid sort of section on the left-hand side of the chart at 26 degrees of Pisces. So first and foremost, let's talk about Mars in Aquarius. So I believe it was in the February monthly astro forecast, I talked about how there's going to be this influx of planetary energy in the sign of Aquarius, right? I think I've been talking about this for the last 2 weeks. Now, Pluto just made its way into Aquarius at the end of January. So think of Pluto as standing at the front door of Aquarius, and every planet that enters Aquarius is going to have to link up with Pluto. Now, this is important because the energy of Pluto is very intense and it's transformative. So you may find that life at this time is feeling a bit erratic. It's feeling like you may be experiencing endings and new beginnings all wrapped into one, or it may just feel intense. That is because we've got 3 planets who have entered Aquarius. Well, we'll say 4. Well, no, we'll actually say 5, because first it was the sun, then it was the moon, then it was Mercury, now it's Mars, and now it's Venus. They're all linking up with Pluto as they go into Aquarius. And so the energy of these planets becomes intensified. Think about holding a magnifying glass to something and how it immediately enlarges and intensifies whatever it is you're pointing at, right? So that's how the energy of these planets have been playing out as they move into Aquarius. And of course, Mars is no exception. And today, Mars is moving into Aquarius. So Pluto will intensify the energy of whatever planet it touches. So Mars, being the planet of confrontation, of war, of desires, of starting things, right? Pluto is only intensifying it. Imagine the energy of Pluto being like gasoline. It's pouring gasoline on Mars and then lighting a flame. Mars is already fiery, right? And so Mars meeting up with Pluto in Aquarius, right, which is actually going to happen tomorrow on Wednesday. But suffice it to say, today we're already feeling the energy of this because Mars is moving into Aquarius. It's going to magnify and intensify the energy of Mars. So I want you to pay careful attention. And I think I've mentioned this repeatedly over the last 2 weeks. Look to see where Aquarius is in your natal chart. This is where all of this heavy, intense energy is playing out. And so with Mars entering Aquarius, wherever Aquarius is in your natal chart, this is where you're going to feel extra driven right now. And not even just driven like, okay, I want this thing. The thing about Pluto is that it will force you to look under the surface, to look deeper. It has a lot to do with psychology. So apart from just wanting something, AKA that Mars energy, you're going to want to understand why you want this thing and perhaps what is standing in your way of wanting this thing, okay? Now, in terms of mundane astrology, Mars entering Aquarius has a lot to do with dynamic and erratic energy levels, right? Especially mentally. If you find that mentally your mind is kind of all over the place, you're thinking random thoughts, or perhaps you've got these desires that seem to be popping up out of nowhere, that's definitely Mars in Aquarius, okay? Now, it's achieving your goals through hit or miss tactics. So it's like being direct, but it's also like, okay, if I don't hit the goal right now, let me try something else, right? It's definitely hit or miss with Mars in Aquarius. Impersonal expressions of anger. So Mars has a lot to do with confrontation, has a lot to do with war. So we're talking about combat, we're talking about confrontation whenever we talk about Mars. But because Aquarius is a mental sign and it's very emotionally detached, you'll find that if you do get into conflict with people, no one's really going for the jugular. No one's really trying to hurt you on a personal level. It's more like, listen, I'm trying to get my point across and this is it. Like, it's very impersonal when it comes to confrontation or expressions of anger, right? Now, the one thing that I like about Mars in Aquarius is what I mentioned before, and that's about teamwork. Mars can be very selfish, very solitary, very independent. But when you put it in a sign like Aquarius, we're very much, we understand the value of teamwork. We understand that perhaps to reach our goals, we need other people on our team. Mars has a lot to do with physical activity. And so when you think of Mars in Aquarius, I always think of like team sports, like football or basketball or something like that. It's like a certain goal that we all have, and we're all providing our strengths in order to meet that goal or achieve that goal together. We're attracted to unconventional methods and tend to approach problems from an intellectual, detached perspective. Everything about Aquarius is detached, has a lot to do with our mind, has a lot to do with our thoughts. So when Mars is in Aquarius, it's like when it comes to our goals, we are more prone to approach them in an unconventional kind of way, but we also approach it from a very intellectual perspective. We're not going merely on emotion. We're not going off impulse. We're like, all right, let's try this. This might work, even though it's different. And then you try to problem solve and you try to course correct in a very intellectual sort of way. All right. So Mars in Aquarius, great for teamwork, great for achieving goals in different ways, and great for, being direct when it comes to the achievement of our goals. All right. And then we also have Venus sextile Neptune, which is a very beautiful kind of transit. Neptune is actually the higher octave of Venus. So think about Venus energy. And if you take that a level higher, then you would have Neptune energy. Has a lot to do with love, has a lot to do with compassion. And this, I say that this is a beautiful transit because it bodes well with the whole ideology of Valentine's Day, right? Now, keep in mind it's a sextile, so it's not like things are going to flow effortlessly. You're going to have to put in some work in order to achieve the best possible outcome with this transit. However, if you do, like, it's great for dating because it definitely fosters compassion, love. It's great for caring and sensual energy, everything that you think or everything that they try to sell you on when it comes to Valentine's Day can actually be achieved with Venus sextile Neptune. It's also great for friendship. It's great for creativity. You also have the ability to have heightened intuition. Your dreams may be a lot more vivid. It's just really a beautiful, feel-good kind of transit that, again, bodes well with everything that they try to sell you when it comes to Valentine's Day. But again, it's a sextile, so you're going to have to put in some effort. It's not like the day is just going to be all lovey-dovey and sensual on its own. Like, if you're able to tap into that energy, you can have a very beautiful series of days because this particular transit will be lasting for a couple of days. All right, so let's keep it moving. All right, so tomorrow on Wednesday, we've got Mars conjunct Pluto, and you'll see that at the very top portion of the chart. Pluto is in maroon, Mars is in red, and they are both right smack dab next to each other. And then we also have the moon moving into its sign of exaltation, which is Taurus, and you'll see that at the mid left-hand portion of the chart. All right, so first up, Mars conjunct Pluto. When I really spoke about this earlier when I talked about Mars entering Aquarius, it is like a serious, remember I said Pluto will intensify the energy of whatever planet it touches. And because Mars has a lot to do with our desire, it's like this extreme, intense desire for something. Okay. It can be power. It can be control. It can be lust. It could be ambition, but you're going to feel it in a lot more intensified sort of way. This energy is very, very, very powerful. Okay. So much can be created from this particular energy. Okay. And so the thing that's coming to mind right now, it being Valentine's Day, the probability of conception is very strong. So be mindful of where you are putting your creative energy. And that goes for anything, not just sex. Whatever you are thinking about, whatever you desire right now is going to be intensified. And that is the spark, or that's the gasoline and the spark that causes the fire. So whatever you are putting energy, effort, ambition, and just, emphasis on right now can really be created. All right. So keep that in mind, especially if you find that you have certain desires that are coming back around, or you're looking at something and you're like, wow, I didn't know I wanted this, but now I want it. And you may really want it. Okay. Again, it's a very, very powerful transit. So use this energy wisely. Now, it's going to give you a lot of strength and endurance to really reach your goals. So again, be mindful of what it is that you're desiring and what you're taking action steps toward. Now, on the negative side, this can mean confrontation, combat in a very intense sort of way. So depending on where Aquarius is in your chart, because Aquarius is an air sign, this is a lot of heated words, heated discussion, heated debates. Be mindful of how you come across. Again, it is impersonal, right? But this particular transit, Mars conjunct Pluto, it's like throwing gasoline on an already existing fire. So be mindful of whatever confrontations arise. Remember, choose your battles wisely. Not everyone needs to have the last word or really needs to argue something out. So just be mindful of that, okay? This is going to have you being extremely impulsive, very action oriented. So it can also foster some reckless kind of behavior. So just be mindful of that as well. It's great to have this push to really achieve something or to work toward your desires, but you don't want to be reckless and all over the place with it. All right. Even though this particular transit will foster that. All right. But again, one of the things I love about this transit is you're starting to understand why you want certain things, where this desire even comes from. Mars on its own is not going to want to research that or is not really concerned with that. Mars is like, I want what I want, that's it. But Pluto was like, nah, why do you want this? Where does this want come from? Is this want something that you really want within your heart, or is it someone else's desire that they've imposed on you? This may be a theme that really plays out for people because Pluto has a lot to do with control and power. And this may shed some light on why you want certain things and whose desire is really at play with this particular transit. Like, again, do you want this because you truly want this, or is someone forcing you to want this or imposing their will onto yours? And when you discover that, this may be why you erupt, why there is confrontation, why there is argument, okay? So keep that in mind, but it's very eye-opening in terms of our desires, okay? Then next up, we have the moon moving into Taurus. And I said before, this is the sign of the moon's exaltation. This is the placement. This is the best sort of placement for the moon. And when the moon is in Taurus, we're all about relaxation, comfort, luxury. We want to feel good. It's a very sensual place for the moon. And by sensual, I mean your five senses. So whatever feels good to you is sort of what rules the day. It's what you sort of gravitate toward. Okay, it's definitely the Netflix and chill placement for the moon. You want to feel comfortable. You want to relax. You don't necessarily want to do much, right? And because we're in the waxing phase, like I mentioned before, the waxing phase has everything to do with taking action steps toward our goals. This is when we are actively manifesting, right? But when the moon is in Taurus, it reminds us that we should appreciate how far we've come, number one. And part of the manifestation process is rest. Part of it is appreciation for what we already have. So when the moon is in Taurus, that's exactly how we feel. So this may be, even though, yes, this is happening on Valentine's Day, which is perfect to spend a night together at home, right? Chilling, doing something that makes you feel good. Moon in Taurus loves to go to the spa, perhaps go shopping, whatever makes you feel good, sensually speaking, especially on Valentine's Day, you'll want to do that because the moon will be in Taurus. All right. Beautiful energy for Valentine's Day. All right. Let's keep it moving. All right, next up on Thursday, we've got Mercury sextile Chiron. So you will see Mercury at the upper portion of the chart at 16 degrees of Aquarius, right? And then you will see Chiron, which is the green key, at the left-hand portion of the chart, which is at 16 degrees of Aries, okay? So sextiles denote opportunity. And whenever we're talking about Chiron, we're talking about healing, particularly emotionally healing our wounds, healing our trauma, in the process providing the blueprint to healing to others, okay? So this is a transit of great potential. It's like you can really start to understand the healing process. And if you are proactive about healing your wounds, healing and addressing your insecurities, you can really, it's almost like you can unlock a cheat code within your mind. It'll give you a different perspective. It will actually broaden how you think about the world, how you even experience the world, because you've been able to process and develop your ability to heal yourself, okay? Now, this may require a bit of reflection on what you've experienced in the past. And for some, that can be a very painful process. And that's kind of the reason why a lot of people avoid this kind of healing work to begin with, because it's almost like you feel like you have to relive what you went through. However, if you're willing to do that, and it's not to say to re-traumatize yourself, but if you are willing to examine or re-examine the things that you've experienced, this can again unlock a cheat code in your mind that gives you a completely different perspective. This is the transit that really helps you gain wisdom through experience and wisdom gained through healing yourself. And with Mercury being a sign of communication, ideas, but more so communication, it's like if you are willing to give your testimony of the healing work that you've done, or give your testimony of the healing work that you're currently doing, that will also unlock a cheat code that gives you a greater perspective. And not just for you, but for others as well. Because apart from just covering personal healing, Chiron has a lot to do with like helping others heal. Like it's like if I heal myself, I'm sort of like the blueprint, the example to help you heal yourself as well. So again, we're unlocking cheat codes with this Mercury sextile Chiron transit. But again, you have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to examine your wounds, process your wounds, and then perhaps give your testimony on the healing work that you've done. But it's great energy if you are willing to do the work. Okay, that's Thursday. Let's keep it moving. Next up, we've got Friday. So on Friday, we've got quite a bit of cosmic activity. So first, we've got Venus moving into Aquarius, and you will see that at the mid to bottom portion on the right-hand side of the chart. Now look at Aquarius. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 5 planets in Aquarius. We've got Venus, Pluto, Mars, Mercury, and the sun. So again, you're going to want to look at where Aquarius is in your chart, in your natal chart, because this is where all of this is going down. Okay. So Venus will be moving into Aquarius first. Then we've got Mercury sextile the North Node. Mercury is also in Aquarius at 19 degrees Aquarius. North Node is at around 16 degrees of Aries. Then we've also got Mercury square to Uranus. Mercury again is at 19 degrees of Aquarius, and Uranus is at 19 degrees of Taurus. And then we have the moon moving into Gemini, and you will see that at the top portion of the chart. All right, so first up, Venus entering Aquarius. Now, Venus has everything to do with love and money, among other things, but those are the main themes that are associated with Venus. So now we're taking a very unconventional and intellectual approach to love and money. This is why I also call this transit lovers and friends, because while Venus has a lot to do with love and romance, Aquarius is more so collective love, friendship love, right? Which is, when you think about it, it's very interesting. The fact that we celebrate Valentine's Day during Aquarius season, Aquarius is more so friendship, not necessarily romantic love. Now, if Valentine's Day fell during the time when the sun was in Pisces, that would be different. That'd be a lot more sensual, a lot more romantic. But the thing about Valentine's Day, when you think about Venus in Aquarius, when you think about the sun in Aquarius season, the best relationships always start off as friends. Friendship is a very strong and very important foundation to a lot of relationships. And Venus in Aquarius definitely reminds us of that fact. Now, the other thing about Venus in Aquarius is that when it comes to relationships, you not only take an unconventional approach and an intellectual approach, it's also unconventional. So not only does it foster friendship, but it also fosters independence in relationships. So it's not like Venus in Pisces where it's clingy and perhaps codependent. Venus in Aquarius is like, listen, you do you, I do me. If our paths meet, then cool. If they don't, that's cool as well. So it can be a bit emotionally detached, but also fosters and really wants and craves independence. Being friends as well as lovers, as I said before. Allowing freedom of expression. And this speaks to the independence I was talking about. Like, Venus in Aquarius wants you to be you. It's not going to change you. It's not going to want to guilt trip you into changing or being different. Allowing someone to be as they are and accepting them as they are is, I think, the greatest aspect of Venus in Aquarius. And Venus will remain in Aquarius for the next couple of weeks, about 4 weeks or so. So this is going to be the time where you definitely want to focus on your friendship and when you want to focus on the foundation of friendship within your relationships. Now, Venus also represents money. So when it comes to money, Venus in Aquarius has a futuristic focus, number one, because Aquarius is very future oriented. Perhaps this is a time where you want to improve on your money, or you want to innovate you want to innovate how you make money. All right. But it's also taking an unconventional and a very intellectual approach to money and finances as well. All right. The next up, we've got Mercury sextile the North Node. So the North Node has a lot to do with our North Star, where we're going, where we're headed, all of that good stuff. So when Mercury is sextile the North Node, it's like we have the ability to think differently, communicate differently as it pertains to where we are headed in life, right? This may be conversations we may need to have with people, things we may need to research when it comes to where we are headed. Now, remember, a sextile denotes opportunity. It's not like things are just going to flow effortlessly to you. You have to put in some effort. So this may be the time where you want to have certain conversations with people, where you may want to network with people. Because remember, Mercury is also in Aquarius. Aquarius is humanity, it's friendship. So this may be a time where you want to let people know what you're doing, what you're about. Try to solicit people to get on your team, especially with Mars currently in Aquarius. Remember, teamwork, like I mentioned before. But it's really about speaking about what you're doing, where you're going, and finding the right people to align yourself with who can make that happen. It's a very faded sort of energy as well. So think about who starts to orbit into your immediate vicinity. These may be the people that you want to reach out to, or these may be people reaching out to you for the same purpose. All right. The next up, we've got Mercury square to Uranus. Okay. Now, this is going to bring a certain level of excitement. This is going to be a deviation from your normal routine. But because it's a square, you may be feeling anxious. You may be feeling nervous. Uranus is currently in Taurus, so we're being shaken out of our comfort zone. And with Mercury currently in Aquarius, it's like we're looking to the future. Well, at the same time, our immediate vicinity and our comfort zone is being rattled. So this may be like, okay, I know that I need to move forward, but I don't know what is forward. What am I going to encounter? And feeling the anxiety or perhaps the nervousness with respect to that. Now, while Uranus requires a certain amount of flexibility and adaptability, it's like you want to get your mind in a place where it can be flexible, where it can adapt to new ideologies that may be thrown to you, where it can adapt or perhaps roll with the punches when it comes to certain things that you learn or things that you discover or things that are said to you. Okay. Again, it may not feel the best. Again, it may have a lot to do with, it may have you feeling anxious, nervous. However, ultimately it is futuristic and future oriented kind of energy. So whatever's going on now, whatever feathers are being ruffled, it's to get you into a new paradigm, to get you into a new reality. So it may require you to let go of some of the things that you think, some of the things that you believe, okay, which is not necessarily the most comfortable thing. However, we are moving forward into the future, and Mercury square Uranus is sort of getting you to be on the right mental wavelength for that. Okay. Then to top it off, we have the moon moving into Gemini, and the moon moving into Gemini is sort of very mixy kind of energy. It can be very erratic. It can be very multitasky, but we definitely like to communicate with others. We like to be social when the moon is in Gemini, and we like to do a lot of things. Whenever the moon is in Gemini, you can almost guarantee that it's going to be a busy time. You may be feeling a lot of emotions. Not necessarily on a deep level, but you just may be feeling a lot. You may be doing a lot. You may be talking to a lot of people. So suffice it to say, on Friday, you may be feeling anxious, jittery, talking to a lot of people. A lot of communication may be going on, in your immediate vicinity. Just learn to roll with the punches, all right? With the moon being in Gemini, you may like it that way. You may like the feeling of being busy. You may like the feeling of a lot of activity because it kind of feels like you're moving in a certain direction, right? But for some, especially with that Mercury square Uranus transit going on that same day, This may be maybe not the best day for the week. It may be a day when you're feeling anxious, nervous, and like anticipating change, but not knowing what that change is. So again, you kind of just have to roll with the punches. You kind of just have to allow things to happen as they happen and just go with it. All right. So let's keep it moving. All right, then on Saturday, we have a very important transit. We've got Venus conjunct Pluto. Now, you will see that in the red circle at the bottom left-hand portion of the chart, both Venus and Pluto will be at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And so I'm not going to really go into this because I kind of mentioned this before, but as each planet enters Aquarius, it links up with Pluto, and Pluto intensifies the energy of whatever planet it touches. So with Venus having to do with love and money are going to be intensified as Venus conjoins Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. So this may be an intense desire for love and affection, an intense desire for money, an intense desire for luxury, comfort, things like that. Anything Venusian is going to be accentuated and intensified with Venus conjunct to Pluto, okay? Now, the one thing I like about Venus conjunct Pluto is the magnetism. Pluto attracts, Pluto intensifies, right? And when you put a planet like Venus conjunct Pluto, it's like having a super duper strong magnet. Now, again, whatever you're desiring, whatever you want is going to be intensified. It's like, let's say you're really focused on money, right? You're thinking a lot about money because Aquarius is an air sign, right? It's a futuristic thing. You're like, all right, I really, really, really want money. It's like you're holding a super duper large, strong magnet to attract money to you. So be mindful not only of your desire, but what lies underneath that desire, because that's ultimately also going to be magnetized to you. So let's say in your mind, you're like, yes, I want money. I'm trying to get more money in my life. Da, 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 da. What is the underlying belief or story you have about money? Because that's what's ultimately going to be attracted to you. If you are in a place of lack, if you are in a place of not enough, if your belief about money is all kinds of fucked up, that huge magnet is going to attract more of that to you. So be mindful of the psychology behind why you want money. What story have you been telling yourself about money? Okay. Again, it's like this transit, you're holding a huge ass magnet. Now, the part about this transit that I don't like, the ugly side of this transit, is things like jealousy, possessiveness, infatuation, stalking, and spying. These are also going to be intensified with Venus conjunct Pluto. So if you have obsessive thoughts about someone, if you are obsessing about someone, if you're feeling very possessive or jealous, all of that is going to be intensified with this transit. So this transit also has a very fatal attraction kind of vibe to it. So be mindful. Now remember, Mars is not far behind either. Mars just conjuncted Pluto on Wednesday. And then by Saturday, Venus will conjunct Pluto. So Mars and Venus, right? Put those two together and you have very sexual, very physical, very amorous kind of energy. And Pluto is just intensifying that, especially if you're experiencing some kind of unrequited love, some, obsession when it comes to someone. Again, it's going to be intensified. So watch out for stalkers, peeping toms, people who are, possessive over you, jealousy, manipulation in relationships. All of that is going to be intensified with this particular transit as well. However, like I said, when it comes to love and money, you can also attract these things, especially if you're coming from a healthy place. All right. So definitely keep that in mind. I talked about that conception and creative energy. Venus has a lot to do with creativity. So you can really create and conceive the, when it comes to love and money, you can definitely plant those seeds with Venus conjunct Pluto as well. All right. So let's keep it moving. All right. So we are going to close out the week with a new season. So the sun will be moving into the sign of Pisces and the moon will be moving into Cancer. So needless to say, Sunday may be a very emotionally charged day because we have the sun moving into a water sign, and we have the moon moving into a water sign. However, you will see the sun at the bottom portion of the chart. It'll be at 0 degrees Pisces, and the moon will be at 0 degrees of Cancer. All right. And so again, lots of emotional energy come Sunday. So come Sunday, with the moon moving into Pisces, it's a new season. It's going to be a lot more emotional. So whereas Aquarius was very intellectual and emotionally detached, it's almost like Pisces, the exact opposite. It's going to be a lot of emotion. It's going to be a lot of substance, a lot of depth, a lot of spirituality, right? Pisces, we're starting to wrap up everything. We are getting to the end of the natural year. So karma, things wrapping up, how we feel about things, reflection on this past 12 months is sort of what we have to look forward to when the sun is in Pisces. All right. So we're guided by our emotions, and we focus a lot on our emotions when the sun is in Pisces. So if you're not comfortable with emotions, if you're not in touch with your emotions, Pisces season can be a little uncomfortable because that's exactly where our consciousness goes when the sun is in Pisces. Okay. It's sort of like feeling empathic, feeling the energy of other people, feeling the emotions of other people. Remember, I said before, so Pisces is ruled by Neptune. Venus is a lower octave of Neptune. So when we're talking about love with Venus, whenever we're talking about Neptune, we're talking about love on a grand scale, on a humanitarian scale, right? It's love for all. It's sensitivity to the emotions of everybody. Pisces season is highly emotional. So again, if you're not comfortable with emotions, whether you're talking about your own emotions or other people's, Pisces season may be a little uncomfortable for you. Now, the side of Pisces I don't necessarily like is like victim consciousness. Pisces energy tends to be focused on martyrdom, self-pity, pity parties, feeling down, being victimized by life. If you've been wallowing in that sort of energy with the sun going into Pisces, it's only going to heighten and intensify that. So Pisces season, people either love it or hate it because it can be very emotional. If you're comfortable with emotions, you can get in touch with your emotions and you can sort of think about and examine your inner world and make sense of it. Whereas if you're not comfortable with that stuff, again, it's a very uncomfortable season. However, I will say with the sun in Pisces, we're winding things down. We're getting to the end of the natural year and sort of getting ready for Aries season and the natural new year. So Pisces season can be it can be like an incubator. Think about a baby in the womb in the last trimester. We've developed everything from last year Aries season all the way up to now, and we're getting ready for this birth. And so it's a time of reflection. It's a time of thinking about what has transpired over the last year and what we will give birth to come the natural new year in March. All right. And then we've got the moon moving into Cancer. Moon in Cancer is in its home sign, very emotional. Sun and moon are going to be trine, actually. So this means that if you're really uncomfortable with emotions, Sunday may be a day that's emotionally charged. Have you very sensitive? Have you really in your feelings? If anything, if it's too much, if it's too stimulating emotionally for you, Sunday is going to be a good day to sort of relax at home by yourself, to really stay away from emotionally charged situations and to just hunker down, get comfortable, and sort of be alone with yourself so you can feel what you're feeling without the input of other people. So it's actually a great way to spend a Sunday. It's a great day to sort of sort out your emotions, be comfortable, be by yourself, but it's also a great day for creativity. So if you want to engage in any creative endeavors, I would say do so on Sunday. Sunday will be a day where you'll be able to tap into your inner creativity, just wanting to feel good, wanting to express yourself in a very emotional sort of way. And it's a really interesting way to end the week. All right. And so that is the forecast for this week. So now, of course, we're going to get into some messages from Spirit. All right. Hello, Flo. I see you have entered the chat. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, so now we get to messages from Spirit. I will be pulling cards for messages for each sign, whether it's your sun sign, moon sign, Venus sign, Jupiter, or North Node. Doesn't matter. If it's your message, it's your message. If it resonates, cool. If it doesn't, let it go. All right, so first up, as always, we start with Aries. So let's see what we have for Aries for this week. Ooh. I'm not guided to pick up the ones that fall on the floor, so let's try that again. Message for Aries. All right, Aries. We've got Temperance. So Spirit is saying, pump your brakes a little bit. I know that you're fired up about something, especially with your ruling planet linking up with Pluto this week. You're going to be very ambitious and driven when it comes to a particular goal or desire. And Spirit is like, all right, I recognize your ambition, but patience is going to be required here. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And so, yes, you will achieve your desire, but you're not going to achieve it tomorrow. So patience is going to be required. And there are certain lessons that need to be gained from this journey of going from desire to manifestation. So be mindful of what Spirit is trying to show you, of what your experience is, whether they're with other people or whether they're with situations, of what there's something to be learned here. So enjoy the journey. Stay receptive to whatever the universe is trying to show you and teach you at this time. There will be plenty of time, and there's no doubt that you will have what it is that you want, but it's not going to happen like that. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Okay? That is Aries. Next up, we've got Taurus. Let's see what we've got for Taurus for this week. Taurus, you've got two cards. First card is the Star, which is the card for Aquarius. And we also have the Three of Pentacles. So for you, Taurus, this has a lot to do with work. There is something that you have wanted. There's something that you've aspired toward. And I feel like this week is going to remind you of that. I feel like you are going to be reminded of what it is that you want to achieve. And this is going to be the week to actually work toward it. So this is going to be the time when you're going to want to put in the work, whether it's with others, right? Because Aquarius has a lot to do with the collective. So I feel like whatever you are trying to achieve work-wise, career-wise, it's going to be a team effort. So you may want to gather people on your team. You may want to reach out to people, contract with people to get the job done. But this is going to be a week full of work, but work that is aspirational and work that is geared toward what kind of future you want to have, right? So this is going to be a practical week and a week where you put in the work toward achieving a particular goal of yours. Okay. Next up, we've got Gemini. Let's see what we've got for Gemini for this week. Okay, Gemini, you guys don't necessarily want to tell me. Perhaps there's something you've got under wraps. It's something you don't want to share, something that you don't want known. Okay, there we go. All right, Gemini, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. So, Gemini, the tables are turning for you, and I kind of get the feeling that they're not necessarily turning in a favorable sort of way. And you kind of don't want people to know this. It's like you're receiving, what goes around comes around. And you're receiving the comes back around part, and it's not necessarily that favorable. And so I see you trying to mitigate the damage. You kind of don't want people to... I'm hearing you don't want people to see the fruits of your labor because they're going to realize that maybe you didn't plant the best seeds. Okay. So there's a little bit of secrecy this week. There's a little bit of not necessarily talking about what's going on with you because it's not necessarily favorable. Okay. And this too shall pass, and let it serve as information. Know that next time you'll need to plant different seeds in order to have a better outcome. All right. But there's no shame in not having planted the right seeds, right? Again, it's just information to show you what you should be planting later on. Okay. Next up, we've got Cancer. Let's see what we've got for Cancer for this week. Cancer, you guys are definitely going to be in your emotions this week, especially with the moon being in your sign. we've got the Hanged Man, and please don't be afraid by this imagery, okay? I feel like this is going to be an emotional week. Something is not necessarily going as planned, and it's shifting your perspective, and it may have you, shedding some tears. This may be a week that doesn't necessarily feel the best for you, but the most important thing is that it is shifting your perspective. You're getting to see something exactly as it should be seen, not how you want to see it. And while that may be emotionally jarring, especially over the weekend, I feel like for you, Cancer, especially when the moon is in your sign over the weekend, I feel like you need to see this. You need to see it for what it is. You need to see it from this different perspective so that you can move accordingly. Because if you didn't see this thing for what it really was, you would still be moving from a place of, when I say inauthenticity, I don't mean that you haven't been authentic, but I feel like you need to handle this situation from the right vantage point. And this week is going to show you that vantage point. Again, it may be emotional, but ultimately it opens your eyes. And that's the most important thing. Now you see something for what it really is, and you can move accordingly. All right. Next up, we've got Leo. Let's see what we've got for Leo for this week. The energy this week is not necessarily the best for everyone, okay? Leo, we've got the 5 of Pentacles. So you may not be feeling physically well this week, or you're just hurt. Like for some of you, I'm hearing like your butt hurt. Perhaps Valentine's Day is not going as you expected. Not to say that you're going to have a horrible Valentine's Day, but let's say you had this idea of what you would experience this Valentine's Day, and it just didn't pan out that way. It's like, womp womp. Like you're just feeling kind of like uninspired, unmotivated, a little disappointed, okay? Reality is not living up to your expectations. And Spirit is like, that's just how life is sometimes, all right? But don't allow yourself to remain in this energy. Things will look up, or this may be a time that requires healing, whether it is physical healing or whether it is emotional healing. Whatever doesn't transpire how you wanted it to is letting you know what needs to be worked on, what needs to be ameliorated, or what needs to be healed. So let this serve as information on what you need to work on this week and beyond, okay? Next up, we've got Virgo. Let's see what we've got for Virgo for this week. All right, Virgo, we've got the King of Cups. So there may be a male figure, and I do get this as being male, that is a focus this week, okay? It may be an emotional relationship. So this could be a romantic relationship. It's either romantic or familial. And I feel like this is the focus for you this week. This may also be the week where you really get your emotions under control, where you really understand your emotions and you make sense of them, not just logically, as you guys love to do, but sort of within you as well, emotionally. But I feel like whatever happens, it's not going to rock you emotionally either. Some of you are really going to be exhibiting very strong emotions, very controlled emotions. So something in your immediate environment may pop off or something may happen. And I'm feeling like it's a good thing. Like let's say someone professes their love to you on Valentine's Day. I feel like it doesn't sway you either way. Like you can appreciate what this person is saying to you, but you're not like, oh my gosh, this is so great. And you're not just like, okay, I don't care. Like you're able to receive things from a very emotionally controlled place. And I know that you especially like that because you guys like to make order out of chaos. So this is a week where there could be a particular emotional relationship that come into focus. Or this could be a week where you actually have a handle on your emotions, which I know you definitely appreciate. All right. Next up, we've got Libra. Let's see what we've got for Libra for this week. All right, Libra, we've got the Page of Swords. This is definitely giving Venus conjunct Pluto energy. There's someone who's spying. There is someone who's looking. I'm getting very looky-loo kind of energy. This could be you, especially because this is the Page of Swords. You guys being an air sign, you guys are doing a little recon. You guys are investigating. You guys are trying to see what the lay of the land is before you communicate, all right? So some of you are definitely trying, maybe there's a conversation, maybe there's some relationship where you want to express yourself or express how you feel to someone. But I feel like this is going to be the week where you're not necessarily expressive. You're kind of looking to see when the right time would be to express yourself or say what's on your mind or say what's on your heart. You're looking and you're assessing the situation. So this is a week that has you being a little sleuthy, being a little spy-y. You're really just looking before you leap this week. Okay. Next up, we've got Scorpio. Let's see what we've got for Scorpio for this week. Scorpio, you've got two. You've got the Two of Cups and you've got the Five of Pentacles. All right. There's a relationship that's not, I'm just going to be blunt. This relationship is not really working out. Even if this is a committed relationship, I feel like this is a week that can be strained. This may be a week where things aren't on the up and up. This may be a week where you get into arguments or you get into a fight. For some, this could signify a breakup, a separation of some sort. And this is a romantic relationship, okay? Let me just be clear with that. So this message may not apply to everyone. However, Spirit is letting us know that this relationship is being fractured for a particular reason because there's something that you need to see and understand, not so much about the relationship, but about yourself in the relationship. Remember, relationships are merely they are a mirror. They hold up a mirror to ourselves. How we are, who we are, what we believe is being reflected back to us in this relationship. So if this relationship is fractured this week or a fracturing of this relationship occurs, or you're becoming more aware of the fact that your relationship is fractured, it is to show you something very important about yourself. So pay attention. Now, this relationship can be mended. It's going to require some work, though, and it's going to require some honest reflection and communication, not only of yourself, but between you and your partner. So while this may not be the best week for relationships, it definitely will be the most eye-opening. Okay. All right. Next up, we've got Sagittarius. Let's see what we've got for Sagittarius for this week. Sagittarius, we have the Devil card. This is also the card for Capricorn. So Sagittarius, a Capricorn may be emphasized this week, your relationship with a Capricorn. This could also be a week that highlights your bad habits. It could highlight a toxic relationship or toxic elements in a relationship. Could also show you where you're stuck. Sagittarius, you guys are a sign of expansion. And perhaps there's a relationship or a situation in your midst or that you're experiencing presently that is keeping you stuck. It's keeping you grounded. It could be keeping you in a certain karmic pattern that no longer serves you. And this is going to come to light this week. So much like the message for Scorpio, you guys may see a not so beautiful side of a relationship this week, but ultimately it has a lot to show you about where you're being limited. Okay. And again, you guys are the sign of expansion. So wherever you're being limited is where you may want to take a more unconventional or a more optimistic approach so you can get unstuck and be a lot more expansive as you normally are. So I feel like this is going to be a week that sheds light on the limits in your life and in your relationships and what you may need to do to unhinge, unlock, or untether yourself when it comes to this relationship or this particular situation. All right. Next up, we've got Capricorn. Let's see what we've got for Capricorn for this week. Capricorn, we've got the Six of Swords. So for you guys are moving on. There is something in your past that perhaps had you feeling stuck, or maybe that was tumultuous. Like perhaps you were in a place where you had a lot of emotional turmoil. Maybe you were debating something with someone or in your mind. And this is a week where you finally get over it. You're like, all right, I'm leaving that in the past and I'm moving on. So some of you may have taken a decision on something that puts you in a different direction. Some of you have decided to get over something in your mind and you're like, fuck it, I'm not debating this anymore. I'm not going to fight this anymore. I'm just going to try to experience peace. There's a certain amount of mental peace that you are going to experience this week. And I feel like it's because you've consciously and intentionally decided to get over something. Okay. And so I feel like if you've been experiencing like double-mindedness, like your mind has been clouded, you've been experiencing a lot mentally, I feel like this is going to be a week where you finally have mental peace. And I know that you guys will greatly appreciate that. All right. Next up, we've got Aquarius. Let's see what we've got for Aquarius for this week. Aquarius, we've got the Five of Cups. So this could be a week that finds you feeling a little sad. Perhaps being Valentine's Day, maybe you're reflecting on a relationship that is no longer. Perhaps you're feeling lonely, isolated, or maybe you're even regretting certain decisions you've made in the past when it comes to certain relationships. Understand that this too shall pass. Okay. Sometimes we get a little sad. Sometimes we reminisce about the past and think about how things could have been different, how we wish things were different, how we want to experience something different. Okay. This too shall pass. It will not feel like this forever. I feel like it's just one of those weeks where our emotions perhaps get the better of us. Speaking to Aquarius, your emotions may get the better of you and you may be triggered by something. I'm feeling like it's the energy of Valentine's Day that can be really shitty, that really triggers some emotions within you. Understand that this too shall pass, this energy shall pass, and you won't feel like this forever. Okay. And last but certainly not least, we've got Pisces. Let's see what we've got for Pisces for this week. All right, Pisces. All right, we've got the Chariot card. So Pisces, y'all are getting ready to move, whether it's moving physically or like you're on the move. I feel like you've got a lot more activity that's going to ramp up, especially once the sun goes into your sign on Sunday. It's like there's going to be some energy that comes to you. So you're going to be moving forward. I feel like when it comes to your desires, you're going to be a little more proactive about them. There's this movement that spirit is facilitating within you and around you. So I feel like this is going to be a week that perhaps feels different than the last past couple of weeks where you may have been feeling stagnant, you may have been feeling stuck. I feel like there's movement coming your way. Spirit is trying to push you in a particular direction. And this is the direction of your desires, your dreams, your aspirations, and your wants. So things are going to start to ramp up with you. So you may start to feel unstuck, or you may start to feel motivated to make some moves, make some decisions, and get the wheels turning. All right, my loves. So that concludes this edition of the weekly Astro Forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you in my next broadcast. All right, my loves. Take care.